This is GRAV REBORN! I'm Eustace the Monk. GRAV just got a huge update. Yay. Frankly, this isn't one that I've been looking forward to. My initial review of GRAV was less than complimentary because, in my opinion, it's an awful, boring, no-fun game, period, end of sentence. However, that's what my channel's all about. It's following early access games update after update and letting everyone know if the game becomes fun to play. And this update is gigantic. I mean, I'm serious. The biggest I've seen in any game in a long time, like 2 or 3 gig total. And the developers are calling it GRAV Reborn, or just the Reborn update. And they've apparently had to do a server wipe to implement this whole update in its entirety. And Reborn it certainly is. All of the graphics are redone from the previous version. And that's nice to see because one of my primary criticisms was the strange cartoonish art style that the game had. I mocked it as resembling a post-apocalyptic 100-acre wood. The creatures look more like alien animals now than stupid bees and little snails and that kind of dog shit like they did before. All the creatures have been redone. The inventory screen's also been redone, and for the better. Before, the inventory was horrible. It was a dispassionate list of items and materials that were in your possession. This time it actually shows a graphical matrix of your items. You can drag stuff to your action bar from your inventory matrix to make it easier to use, which is nice. The new armor mannequin is a little awkward. There's no real obvious way to exit out of the armor equip screen as you're manufacturing your armor. Here, watch me kind of fiddle fuck around trying to exit out. It's an improvement from the previous version, however. It just needs a little bit of tweaking, in my opinion. There's tasks to do which give you experience, like build a fire and build this and do this and that. The list is always floating to the right of the screen there. They also got rid of the decay on your bases and buildings and stuff that you built in your single-player games, which is awesome. I mean, why would you have buildings decay in a single-player game? I mean, I can understand multiplayer makes sense because you don't want unpopulated buildings littering the landscape everywhere from people who are never going to log on again. But it's like my world in single-player. No one else is going to touch it. Leave my shit alone, please. Never made any damn sense, and it's awesome that it's gone now, quite frankly. Unfortunately, the rebirth of GRAV seems to be limited to graphical and UI only. First of all, you can still poop everywhere, which, to be perfectly honest, was the first thing I tried with the update. I exist in a rather infantile mental state, where excrement is almost always funny. I mean, almost always funny. The crafting system is still a boring click fest. Just click on your blueprint and pow, it exists. Ugh. You're still crafting rusty handguns, which is ridiculous. Harvesting, now here's the thing about harvesting materials is not a pain in the ass. While you're harvesting materials, instead of just adding it to your inventory, it now scatters the materials over a wide area accompanied by the sound of wind chimes. Seriously, listen to this sound. Now imagine needing to do a lot of resource gathering, constantly listening to this sound. Jesus Christ, I mean really? Who thought this was a good idea? It's almost like a sound that the Central Intelligence Agency would constantly play to suspected Al-Qaeda supporters to get them to talk. It's pure audio torture. It's horrible. Your starting blueprints to craft are still woefully inadequate. It makes you go out into the world and murder countless numbers of giant slime frogs and walking bird dinosaurs and all kinds of creatures in hopes that they'll drop your precious blueprints. I played for a couple hours, and I only got 3 blueprints. None of them were any better weapons, just a health potion, some little stamina thing, and a storage crate. Yeah, that's right, you can't even build a storage crate at the game's start. They're like, great. I can't figure out a crate or a box. The blueprint drop rate is still abysmal, meaning that you are grinding endlessly just to build anything of any interest whatsoever. It wasn't fun in World of Warcraft or Lord of the Rings or any of the other MMOs I've played, and it certainly isn't any fun here. If they keep the current model of crafting, they'll need to at least increase the basic blueprint drop rate. As it stands right now, it's simply awful. I'm not playing GRAV for weeks on end just to be able to build an interesting base, thank you. I've got better things to do. The game is still inappropriately based on an MMO model of play, so I figured maybe I'd try online to see if the experience was any better. The first thing that struck me was the unsurprising lack of players on the official servers. Not zero, to be sure, but no more than 39, and that was over in Europe. In the US, there was only 19 or 20 on the eastern seaboard, and the others were significantly less than that. After I connected, I found myself on a huge rock pillar that I almost died trying to jump off of. Nice spawn point there, Grav. Thanks a lot. And I also found myself utterly alone. I saw evidence of other players around by their buildings and their bases and stuff, but the campfires had all gone out and there was absolutely no sign of life. I got bored quickly, to be honest. I came to play with other people and tried to make the game not boring, and there's not a soul around. So I started pooping in their camps and buildings to let them know I was here if they ever logged back on. I saw a light in the sky and I kind of went to investigate, and I saw somebody's base that obviously represented a lot of work with a cool little dune buggy there he had parked in a little garage or something. I couldn't investigate any further because there was an automated machine gun turret that tried to ventilate me, so I had to scamper away. So to sum up, it's still an awful, torturous grindfest, and multiplayer is an utterly solitary experience. Despite being reborn, it still needs a lot of work. I could go on and on and on. The wood armor still has a butthole in the center of the back, and it looks like lunacy incarnate. There's no map, so navigation is awful and exploration is a headache. There's no quests to go on, there's no economy to buy and sell things, blah 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 blah. However, you can still dance around a campfire to heal and poop everywhere, which is something, I guess.